I'll be honest. If at the end of the tunnel there was no type of financial compensation, if at the end of all your struggling, all your blood, sweat, and tears, there were no type of reparation, would you create the way that you do? Would you be as meticulous and as methodical as you are about curating material? See, art is subjective. However, good art is what liberates. It's what moves us forward as a species. Take, for example, Michelangelo's David being a symbol of strength, youth, and beauty. Kanye's luscious soundscapes and samples. Or Stephen Curry's ability to move without the ball and Steph Curry's shooting mechanics. All of these are what I hail as the epitome of excellence. However, should their talents be exchanged for commerce? William Shakespeare once famously wrote in Hamlet, "To be or not to be." Connecting this to the question of whether art should be monetized or not is kind of like you're screwed regardless. The purpose behind to be or not to be is deeply synonymous with to live or to die. And I believe it's that simple. It's a never-ending struggle of determining what's important. How do I keep the integrity of my art whilst feeding myself? It's a dilemma of art should be monetized, but should art be monetized? We've gotten to a point in society where everything you do should be monetized. All your hobbies, monetize them. All your interests, monetize them. You're not a businessman, but you're a businessman. You're not a person, but you're a brand. You know, like I've kind of developed this moniker of everybody's got an iPhone and a dream. And sometimes I really wonder if this accessibility has in some ways tarnished the value of art. If people are sharing purely for the sake of cool stuff or just to hit a lick on something. You know, we view these creative projects as though they're a waste if they aren't immediately shared with the world. I feel as though art is something that should be allowed to be personal. You have to realize that art, these moments we create, these moments that we record of great joy, regret, happiness, sorrow, and ultimately bravado, is at the end of the day intimate. Not everything has to, nor should it be expected to be exchanged for commerce. However, art has been very vital to the growth and development of entire societies, Florence, Italy being a key example of this. And during that time, a family such as the Medici family was a primary benefactor to all of this. They were the main family that controlled Florence throughout the Renaissance. They played a huge part in the patronage of art. And, you know, like just the political development of the city, creating cathedrals and allowing the best creators of that time to decorate them and give a piece of themselves within the fabric of time, manipulating precious stones, colors, and textures, all for the world to admire. The spiritual grandiosity and intricate religious meanings were something that was extravagant for the world during that time. The main goals were to portray people and nature in a very real and vivid manner. The most prominent of that time were Michelangelo, Raphael, and Leonardo da Vinci. And can I just say that back then you either had a really trash name or you just had like one of the greatest names of all time. You know, like Socrates is crazy. You know, like could you imagine today naming your child Aristotle? Like it's so crazy, like the type of names that they had that were just crazy today, and now we just have like these basic names. Like that's so crazy to me. But continuing anyways, Michelangelo was hailed as one of the greatest sculptors in history and was a master at expressing human emotion. His knowledge of how the human body moved and his great storytelling within the fibers of his material were and still to this day very moving. Raphael's was less rooted in realism and was more so rooted in showing humans in a different light that was, I would argue, more so less than real. His use of soft colors was something I would deem as a bit more poetic, and me looking at some works such as the Virgin Mary give me just a soft feeling, for a lack of a better term. And Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, like, oh my goodness, it's really like we weren't there to witness Christ breaking bread, and we weren't there for the Last Supper. Like, we weren't there. There was no YouTube videos. There was no recording of it. And the fact that he was able to just literally visualize it and paint it, and that's like something that we would all kind of visualize the Last Supper to be. It's crazy to me. Like, it's insane to me personally. It's so crazy to me. And also just the Mona Lisa being as detailed as it is, and having it be as realistic as it is, and the soft facial features, and it being translated from real life to a painting and nearly looking as though it's a picture during that time. His deep understanding of how light worked was just something to marvel during that time, and even today it's something that we just all can just appreciate, and we all can find something of meaning from. Now take a deep breath, you know what I'm saying? Take a deep breath, you know that. Take a deep breath, like breathe in, breathe out, you know what I'm saying? Like, to take a deep breath real quick, take a deep breath. Let that summer, you know what I'm saying? Let that summer. Nowadays, you got niggas dropping bands on monkeys and Supreme hoodies. You got people nowadays spending their whole life savings and pensions on JPEGs. As society, we went from manipulating stones and simultaneously manipulating and inspiring the hearts and souls of men, to in some ways being sucked into the soulless manufacturing of art, the regurgitation of images indistinguishable from one another. I seriously believe that art was just an over-encompassing form of human expression. Could it be the instant gratification, the want, no, the need to have something right now? Our world is instantaneous, from the food we order, to our transportation, to our communication, right down to our art. Everything nowadays feels so vapid, uninspired, cold. NFTs especially can be plagiarized, copied, repurposed, and sold. The overarching community also represents everything that's bad about art in this day and age. They say, oh, well, you can decentralize materials, support artists, cut out the middleman, bypass gatekeeping galleries, and create a technological revolution. When in actuality, the system is broken. The chance to actually be compensated for work is met with scams, theft, and an annoying culture. I scroll on my Twitter feed and I see monkeys. I see pixelated images that I can just screenshot. There's not nothing you can do about it. Oh, I own it. I own it. I own this. I own this. I own it too. But in all actuality, it's terrible for the artist. Imagine you dedicate your time to creating something for somebody just to screenshot that exact same image and re-upload it for thousands of dollars. So should art be monetized? When people wear crypto chains, should art be monetized for its ability to move and inspire men? Should art be monetized?